Hey, deserving listeners, couples therapy, Boris and Jessica. Let's continue watching.
I had a very hard time with last week's session. I hated the portrait of me that emerged.
How did you see yourself?
As somebody who is just possessed by completely unreasonable expectations.
All right, so this is starting out, I think, in an encouraging way, in that it's similar to what he was saying in the last session. Instead of refuting what his wife is saying, he's saying, I don't like the way this makes me look. Now, at the end of this bit, he might say, I don't like the way my wife made me look, but he's not saying that. Maybe he's saying that indirectly. But there's also a possibility that there's a part of him that is wondering maybe he has some problems. And the way that therapy can be kind of like a mirror for you to look at yourself a little bit without the distractions of the passions of conflict in the moment. You see yourself like, is this really how I am? So maybe that now, given what we've seen so far, I don't imagine that is what he's saying, but maybe there's a part of him, I don't know,
who is unsatisfiable, for whom there is no problem that's too small to become annoyed by and obsessed with, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I sound like a monster. Why were you interested in being with me?
Okay, so this is interesting and a very common defense and behavior in conflict, that one member will say something like this with the purpose of fishing for some indication that the other person loves them, right? And also as some kind of accusation of, well, if you're with me, then you must be exaggerating, because if this is how you see me, then you would have left me, so you must be exaggerating, or something like that. It's also one of the rest stops, if you will, of people on the road towards Wellville. It's not a great rest stop to be here because it's not functional, right? Because it puts her in this position where she has to say good things about him, right? Like the most direct answer is, well, because I love you, or because you have good qualities or something. Or she needs to say, I was exaggerating or lying or something like that, or I was wrong. It's not a good position to be put in, but it's better than him just refuting it and saying, you're wrong, you're lying or something, right? He's not saying that. He might be kind of saying that, but he's not really saying that. And the reason why I say it's a rest stop on the way to Wellville is that if she could actually reassure him in this moment in some way, now, we would understand that she wouldn't be motivated towards that. But if I could sort of engineer things, if she felt up for it, she could say, well, I'm with you because I love you, and I have faith that if we continue in couple therapy, that things will change. And there's a lot of things about us and our dynamic, and frankly about you, that I would like to change. So that's why I'm with you. But it doesn't mean that I don't have these complaints, because I do. Some kind of reassuring notion like that. And then with that reassurance for him, he might be able to withstand that criticism, right? For some people, given their fragile egos, when you criticize them or give them feedback, even if it's very mature, and most of her feedback has been very mature and kind, or at least not hostile and not unreasonable, in order to withstand that request or that criticism or that feedback, we have to believe that we're lovable and that we're not being abandoned. Because if those things are happening, then it's too much for us to handle, right? So we have to be able to, it's like if you're at work and your boss is constantly giving you feedback and saying, and if you don't change, I'm going to fire you, or something like that. It's hard to receive that kind of feedback without defensiveness or terror. Whereas if your boss says, you are a really good employee, I've never had a better person in your position before. I really enjoy working with you. And I would love it if you change this one thing. It's a very different thing. You could give the same essential feedback with two different messages. So it's the same in marriages, obviously, right? And if he could have that foundation, then we could actually start going down a road that I think he's kind of going down, which is, wait, is there something kind of wrong with me in the way that I see things and the way that I behave?
Because sometimes you're a very nice person.
Okay, great. Very consistent with the previous sessions where she can be differentiated. So many other people in her position would have been defensive. Like, well, what are you saying? Was I wrong about what I was saying? Or for her to say something like, well, sometimes I question why I am with you, right? Because I'm sure all those things are true. But she intuits it would be constructive if I said something nice to him in this moment, which is also true. The reason why I'm with you is because you're nice. That's not you entirely. You have these other qualities. I'll also say that if you are the sort of person that has an impulse to ask your partner this, or asks your partner, well, then why are you with me? Take note that in all likelihood, that is a statement that is standing in for a more vulnerable statement, which is, I'm feeling like you don't want to be with me right now, and that scares me. Or can you reassure me that you love me? Before we move forward, I feel like I just need to know that you love me and you want to be with me, because I'm starting to get a little afraid. And if I'm in that fear, it's going to be hard for me to go on with this conversation without freaking out and saying stupid shit. So can you reassure me that we love each other? There's nothing wrong with that. That's more direct, more vulnerable.
Makes you feel like a monster?
It's a couple of things. When I came to this country, people around me had a lot of hopes for me. And they really wanted me to do well. Mm-hmm. And they pushed me hard to do well. And it's the most...
Okay, so he's talking about when he emigrated, and he's saying people had high hopes for me. I would assume that's his parents, right? All right, just taking a break here for a quick second. The rest of this video will be for members of the YouTube channel. Otherwise, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.